So, hello to all of our viewers. Welcome back. We are back for another Candid Crucial Community Conversation. And I am super excited to have joining us tonight Miss Voncia Molock and Miss Susan Morgan, who is going to be running for Dorchester County's school board. And at this time, I'm just going to give a few seconds for you all to tune in, as well as to share out this broadcast. As you come on, say hello. We know we have viewers from all over, not just in the state of Maryland, but all over the nation that are viewing us. So as you come on, say hello to us, say hello to our panelists. Let us know where you're tuning in from, because we want to hear from you tonight. As we facilitate this conversation, make sure you are asking questions in the comments so that we can ensure that we get some of those questions answered as we go throughout the broadcast tonight. So I am just super excited to have you both with us tonight, Miss Voncia and Miss Susan. I want to say first, starting off, that I am just excited that you have agreed to do this broadcast. For those that are tuning in and do not know who I am your host, Shay Speaks, and I'm just going to be the moderator / facilitator for tonight's discussion. For anyone that is new to tuning into these conversations, this is Candid Crucial Community Conversations. The purpose of these broadcasts is simply to educate our community, that they may become informed, educated, and engaged. So we know that we have a lot of things going on in our nation as it relates to a variation of things. But tonight, our conversation is going to be focused around these two ladies, their candidacy. Susan's like, young. Okay, I'll take it. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. So yes, we're going to be talking about their candidacy. We're going to get into what their platforms are, as well as their expertise. So at this time, we're going to give way for both of them to introduce themselves. We'll start with Miss Voncia.
Hi, Shay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here sharing with you tonight, and thank you for this platform and this opportunity. My name is Voncia Molock, and I am from the El Dorado area, if you will. An 84 graduate of North Dorchester High School, a proud Eagle here. I am running in District 5, which includes the Vienna area, which includes the Galestown area, which includes the El Dorado and Reeds Grove areas. And I'm currently a director of IT operations at Purdue Farms.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Voncia. We'll go right to you, Ms. Susan Morgan, for your introduction.
Hi, I'm Susan Morgan. I am running for school board in District 3. My area is the same as the Councilmanic District 3. I cover basically Leonard Lane to Washington Street to the water, Race Street to the Cambridge Beltway, Stone Boundary to Woods Road, Longboat Estates, Algonquin, and most of the West End, although there's a few screwy little dips here and there that aren't included, but most of the West End I have. I'm retired after working in the public schools for over 20 years as a counselor, resource counselor, and before that I taught college. So I'm looking forward to our discussions.
So I want to say to you both again, thank you so much. As you can already see, for those that are viewing this broadcast, these ladies bring a wealth of information, as well, a wealth of knowledge as it relates to education and just being able to be effective in their role if elected for the school board. So there's so much happening right now in our nation. However, we can't forget that this is election year. One of the things that I've noticed is that, for many years, a lot of the people that have ran for elected office, they have gotten into their office based upon name recognition, as well as they have ran uncontested. So this year we have, definitely faced with some challenges, as you ladies have never ran. Ms. Voncia, you ran last election year. And if you want to share with that, with the viewers, about that experience, you're welcome to do so. However, the question that I have for you ladies tonight is, because again, this is election year, name recognition, as well as not being able to really hit the pavements and actually campaign like we once would before because of COVID-19. My question to you both is, what triggered your interest to run for the school board? And I guess we will start with Miss Susan Morgan.
I'm running because I feel like Dorchester County Public Schools have some tremendous challenges. We are already at pretty close to the bottom in our test scores. We are close to the bottom in our pay scale for teachers. Students who are coming into our schools often lack social, emotional, and academic readiness. Their achievements lag behind the state and even national norms. There's disruptive behavior in the classrooms that causes a loss of teaching time and learning time, and everybody loses out. All the kids lose out when there's disruptive behavior that can't be controlled. So those are the things that I'm most interested in. The readiness issue, behavior in classrooms, and pay scales.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Susan, for sharing. Miss Voncia, now to you.
Good evening again. So the reason why I'm interested in running and why I'm doing this, I grew up here in Dorchester County. I went through Dorchester County Public Schools. I know the levels that our children can reach if they have someone who is supportive of them. I have a heart for the students in Dorchester County. I know that they can achieve. I know that we together can help all students just reach very high levels of success. And I just want to do my part and do what I can to help all of our students succeed. That's why I'm running.
All right. Thank you both for sharing. I mean, of course, you have to have the passion in order to run for an elected office, as well as there's certain expertise that, of course, you need or you would want to express as it relates to your position as a board member if elected. So I know, Miss Susan, you spoke about your counseling background. Miss Voncia, you talk about, you just being raised in Dorchester County and knowing the potential of our community, of our students. So I guess I'll start with you, Miss Voncia. What are some of your expertise that you have that you would bring as a plus to Dorchester County Public Schools as a board member?
Well, I think my strength is the fact that I have 33 years of IT experience. I began in Bell Laboratories, so my technical skills are very advanced, I would say. I'm an expert in telecommunications. I love lifelong learning. I am currently responsible for IT support across Purdue Farms, so I understand large systems. I understand technology. I understand the impact that it can have. I understand the business value, right? The benefits of technology. And I think having a business perspective would bring an interesting nuance to the board. I don't have an education background, but I did grow up here in Dorchester County Public Schools. I have a business background, which I think will help make decisions that are inclusive of everyone and that are also focused on results. I'm a very results focused person, and I bring that skill also to the board.
Awesome. I'm actually going to piggyback on that after Ms. Susan shares her expertise. I'm going to actually go back to something you said.
Okay.
Okay. I worked in the school system. I worked with students individually, in groups. I worked in classrooms. I worked with students who had behavioral issues. I am the sort of person who wants to have kids appreciated and respected. And I feel that if they are respected, you'll have better behavior from them. I have ideas about wanting to sort of overhaul their alternative behavior program, which has been the idea on the part of the board has been to get kids who cause behavior problems out of the schools. And I feel like that's not exactly the way to do it, that what you need are some of the programs that I've worked in before, where you have classrooms in the school where kids are taken or can be a part of this program, which is a very structured program. And if they are able to take in the structure of the program, they can then move back to the classroom, partially and then fully back to the classroom rather than moving them out of the building. A second level of moving them out of the building would come only when they're not successful in the in-school program. So those are the things that I look at, is how to handle behavioral issues so that everybody wins. The kids in the classroom win because the behavioral problems are taken care of, and the child who's causing behavioral problems wins because they're not put out as though there's some sort of cancer. They're actually worked with to help them understand, to help the people who are working with them understand why they are engaging in this type of behavior. I know that Ms. Molock talked about some programs for behavioral issues too. And I think it would be great if we could work together on the board to bring about some changes in the alternative programs. So, yeah, that's one of my big issues is alternative programs and working with kids.
So I can see we have a great balance here. I mean, Susan, you bring the behavioral aspect from having intensive experience in counseling as well as working in the school board. Voncia, you bring a wealth of technical expertise that I feel like is very much needed, especially now when we start to consider how we are going to facilitate instruction for the upcoming school year. So it just leads me right into, again, we have some basic question, but it leads me into what your thought processes are about facilitating online instruction as it relates to being able to maintain the social distancing, keeping not only students but in family safe, but also keeping our teachers safe. So Voncia, if you can share with us, your technical background, what are your thoughts about online learning?
I am very much in favor of online learning because I've done it most of my life, right? When you're in technology, you have to be a lifelong learner, because just think about how much cell phones have changed in the last X number of years, right? They change every year. And so it's just like anything else. You learn, you get something, you get a product, you learn everything about it, and then the new product comes out and you have to learn the new features of the new product. Similar with everything, really. Things are changing so fast. This world is changing so fast. We all have to be lifelong learners, and an online platform is definitely going to be a part of that if you really want to be educated with the most current information and what's really going on. And as far as it relates to our schools, my North Star is and always will be what's in the best interest of the students. And keeping our students safe has to be our paramount objective. It has to be the very most important thing, is keeping students safe, because that's going to keep families safe, and it's going to keep teachers safe, and it's going to keep administrators safe. And I got to say that since my family has personally lost someone to COVID, it's not just a number to me. It's not just a number. We have to keep our students safe. And so online learning, I thank God for it, because it allows us to continue to have a platform where kids are able to learn in a hugely changing environment. So I'm very much in favor of it. I think it's the safest thing to do.
So, Ms. Voncia, first I want to say, definitely sorry for your loss. We cannot close our eyes, turn our ears, turn our face and say, this isn't real, because COVID is very much still present, it's still real. It doesn't make a difference how much it's opening back up. We're still dealing with the aftermath, as well as still dealing with COVID-19 being presently amongst us now. So I also too agree, to the online schooling, not just for the sake of students, but also, as you said, to keep families safe, to keep students safe, to keep teachers safe as well. So for me, I think about the most simplistic things, right? So again, me, I've learned that I'm a much better advocate. I learned my lane. I was going to run for school board, but I'm in school. So prioritizing my, what my priorities need to be at this time is definitely something that I have come to grips with. But I commend you both for, just taking the initiative to run for these offices. As many people are saying, we know we need change in Dorchester County. We have had some amazing officials to serve on the school board. I can't deny that at all. However, at some point in time, we definitely have to pass the torch so that we can continue to evolve, not only as individuals, but as a county as a whole. So I guess to that point, one of the concerns that I've seen on various live streams, specifically the one where Dr. Teresa Stafford, she facilitated a conversation with Superintendent Mr. Brumwell. There were questions, and there were a lot of parents in the community concerned about online learning and the instruction of online learning for students that have special needs, for students that have behavioral needs that need to be addressed, and how that would affect them not being able to have that face-to-face encounter with a teacher. So I'm going to start with you, Ms. Susan. I want to ask the question, having a counseling background, understanding the dynamics of what we're dealing with in our nation. This isn't a Dorchester County issue. COVID-19 has plagued our nation. What are your thoughts, and what would you say to a parent that has a student that has an IEP or that has concerns that their student won't be successful with the online learning program? What would you say to that student or that parent with your counseling background?
I think that the online learning actually will work better for some students who have learning issues because with the synchronous learning, where it's real time with the instructor, they can get almost one-on-one with the instructor to help them work through it. With the asynchronous learning, which is the one that's not real time, and Dorchester is planning on doing both, they would have the opportunity to explore some things that are of interest to them. And if you can find areas where students have an interest, they're going to learn. They're going to learn a lot better when they get to choose areas that they really like. That's one of the advantages of online learning, I think, because students, if it's done right, and I think last spring parents were sort of put off because there were a lot of packets that went home. It wasn't really online learning. It was more packets and things that went home. If you do synchronous learning online, you're going to have teachers who will be able to work with small groups, even like we're doing right now, talking to 3-4 kids at a time, being able to explain things. It's going to take a lot of work on the part of teachers. It's going to take a lot of work on the part of the school system to make sure that everything is in place, and that's what they need to do. Every child needs to have a computer. Every child needs to have access to the web, because if you don't have access to the web, you're just sitting there looking at a computer and the kids are going to play games, because there's nothing else really to do other than fill in some forms. But I do think that with students who have issues of, say, attention. They're going to have a better chance at learning if it's one-on-one. They can talk to the teacher, or they can talk to several of their classmates together with the teacher. And the teacher will need to make sure that things are selected that are more of something they enjoy. So that would be my response with online learning. I think online learning has incredible potential for kids and
Thank
for
you.
learning.
Thank you so much, Miss Susan. We have joining us tonight, Miss Teresa Alsop. She says, hello, ladies. So we're just going to say hello to you. We have Miss Debbie Clayton joining us tonight. Hello. And then we have Miss Joy Stanford. We're going to say hello to you as well. Thank you for being engaged in this conversation, even though it wasn't, a question. But please feel free, again, in the comments to ask any questions you may have, pose any feedback you may have about this discussion. So, Miss Susan, you're absolutely right. I also, too, feel like that online learning is giving the students the opportunity to see instruction facilitated in a different format. I got to be honest, it's easy for me to say this is what I believe would work for myself or for a student. But if we be realistic in having this conversation, because this is Candid Crucial Community Conversations, right? If we be candid in this discussion, the reality is that a lot of the generation that's born today, they're already born with some level of technical inclination when they are born. I mean, I have twins that are 5 years old and they can tell me more about their tablet than I could probably tell you about this Microsoft Surface that I'm actually sitting in front of. So when we consider the need for the student, right, I don't fear, as a parent, as an advocate, I don't fear that there will be a fear of failure for students based upon them actually having online instruction. Now, when we have a conversation about connectivity in various parts of the county, that's a different conversation. But when we start talking about student success and being able to make sure that students get that instruction, that's a different conversation. Access and actually being able to have or facilitate instruction online, that's two different conversations. So with Ms. Voncia, with your background, your IT background, and all that you do, how would you foresee, or do you foresee there being any immediate things that if you were in the position to as a board member now, what would be your focus right now at a time where how would you be supporting the superintendent if you were actually sitting in that seat now?
Well, you made an excellent point, Shay. We have to have access for our kids in order for them to even be able to access the web and to make the online learning platform the best that it can be, right? So there are different ways to access the web, and we would need to be looking at devices that we could be handing out to parents. Devices such as MiFi's or hotspots or things of that nature that do work very well in some of the most rural areas. I happen to live in a very rural area, and that's what I use. So we need to make sure that as many kids as possible have access. Those hotspots, I think, that they had at high schools where people could drive close to the high school and get access that way. I think considering, that we had no warning that this was even coming, I think that was really good, but I do think devices like those hotspots will help a lot. And on your cell phones, you have internet access on most cell phones where you can connect using your cell phone you can connect your tablet or your computer to through your cell phone to get access. So, that would really be a priority to make sure that our kids have access and that they have a device that they can use to get to the internet. I'm a big proponent of using simple devices like Chromebooks or something like that, as opposed to laptops, which have a lot of overhead and a lot of caring feeding, if you will, involved with using laptops, but definitely we have to get them access. We have to get them devices so that they can get on the platforms.
Miss Susan, would you like to share in on that?
I was listening to the governor the other day who was talking about using CARES money coming from Congress because of COVID, and he wants to expand Wi-Fi access broadband in Western Maryland and also on the Eastern Shore in the rural areas. He wants to use about $20 million to expand broadband in these areas, not so much in the other parts of the state. But I think that's really, really important if we're going to be doing online learning. The kids have to have access because without it, you really don't have a program.
So, again, ladies, I appreciate your feedback as it relates to that. Access is definitely something that we have to really focus on. I mean, we can provide, or the school system can provide the device, but without the access, it's like giving a person a notebook without a pencil. It's not useful without a pencil. So, providing the device, providing the access, all of that is critically important to our student success. I know, Susan, you had spoken a lot about the disruptive behaviors in classrooms. Do you believe that, of course, we're going to have, this is trial and error for not just the teachers, not just administrators, but students as well as parents. Do you believe that teachers will deal with the same level of disruptive behaviors in an online form?
I don't. I don't think they will, because I think the students are going to be more interested in what's going on. I mean, I know teaching before or working with kids before in the school system, students who were classified as disruptive would often be quite easy to work with once you put them in front of a computer and you give them something that they're interested in, that they want to do or want to research or want to read about. And for students who have difficulty reading, you can have programs that will read to them and help them learn at the same time. So I don't think the behaviors are going to be a problem so much with online learning. I think what we're going to see is those behaviors will resurface once we get back into the school system. And I think we need to be ready for that so that kids can make a good transition and not, be thrown out the first couple of days they're in. There needs to be a program in place when kids go back to school buildings to, handle behavior issues.
Thank you for sharing. So, Ms. Voncia, really quick, I know you have the technical background. So, if there was a disruptive or an issue where students were disruptive in an online learning setting, is there a way to monitor the attendance of those that may pose any disruption in an online form?
I can tell you that I know the platform that Dorchester County has chosen is called Schoology. And I've looked at that platform a bit, just looking around to see what it offers. And it seems to be a really awesome platform. Attendance is addressed in that platform. Instruction is addressed in that platform. You can integrate it with almost any other type of software that you need. You can customize it. So I would think that as far as attendance and things like that, I think the Schoology platform does a really, really good job with that. And I do believe, as Susan said, I don't have as much experience, of course, in the classroom at all, but I can say that I held the Student Success Conference in January of this year, and there were a lot of wonderful kids there. And some of the kids there were labeled as having behavior issues. But I can tell you that at that conference, it was an all-day conference. There were no behavior issues of any of the students. They were engaged. They were interested. They asked great questions. And all I saw were great kids with so much potential. And I really, truly believe that every child in Dorchester County has that potential, and we just need to be there for them.
Thank you so much. I mean, I definitely would also make that observation. However, we can't take away from what teachers experience on a day to day basis. So,
Absolutely.
with that being said, how would you, as board members, if elected, support teachers when they do have issues that they may come to the board with to say, hey, this is an issue? They may be trying to enforce a policy that they feel as though would be beneficial to help them in their role as a teacher in the classroom. How would you ladies support the teachers as it relates to some of those concerns when we do transition back into school buildings? As you said, Miss Susan, there is going to be some, that transition is going to be tough, not just for teachers, but also for students, because their norm has now become something totally different than a standard 8:15 to 2:45 school day. So of course we need to be we need to be thinking about a proactive approach. How will we be prepared for the transition? How will we be prepared to address any family concerns, any parental concerns? How will we be prepared to address student concerns? So my question to you first is, how are you ladies planning to support teachers in what their concerns, their frustrations have been in the past, and what they may open up and express to you all if elected as board members? So I guess we'll start with Ms. Susan.
I think one of the important things for the school board members is to be open to hearing from teachers. I think they need to be open to hearing from parents, from students. I think it's important to be a part of the community, not just a part of the school board. I've seen teachers come to the school board and say, you said you had my back, but where were you when I was heading off to the hospital? I think that the board has not been as knowledgeable of state laws governing education and behavior. I think when the board says we can't suspend a child preschool through second grade, so our hands are tied. No, they're not. You look at other ways to deal with behaviors. If a child is being disruptive in a classroom and the teacher sends them to the office saying this child is being disruptive, you don't sit there and talk to the kid for 5 minutes and send them back to a classroom where they've just been disruptive. That's why you need an alternative program that will address these issues, that will make it possible for that child to see that they were creating a problem, but why were they creating a problem? Let's talk about why they're creating a problem. I think a lot of the counselors in the school system now are used to just putting out fires. That's what they do. Something's going wrong, the counselor puts out fires. They don't deal with the children on a more personal basis because they don't feel like they have time. They don't have time to do different groups. They don't have time to help out. One of the things that my counselors did with the alternative program is it wasn't just a teaching program. It wasn't just a structured teaching program that we worked on. We developed a counseling part to it, an emotional and social part to that alternative program. And my counselors would work with the students in those classes, not just to teach them how to read or how to write or how to do certain history lessons. They worked with them on how to have empathy for other people. And that's not an easy thing to do. But I think that's where counselors would work really well, is to be involved with the alternative program, to try to stop problems before they begin. So that would be what I would suggest.
Some more intervention. I appreciate that. Ms. Voncia.
I absolutely agree with what Susan said. I personally believe we need more counselors in schools. When I see one counselor assigned to 500 children, you got to wonder, my God, how are they being effective with, one person and that many students? However, I will say this, I'm very concerned about our policies and fairness and how they are executed. As a board member, I will make sure that those policies are distributed or worked, or that they are fair to all the students. I do see, in my opinion, a large, well, it's fact too, a large number of minorities in alternative school. I got to wonder why. Um, but I do believe that, I would listen to all sides. Everybody has a story, but together, I truly believed. And when I say together, I mean teachers, administrators, parents, board members, students, all of us working together to help everybody be successful. I'm sure we can do it. I'm sure we can come up with an answer to our behavioral issues.
One of the things that I used to work with, another program I worked with was something called study circles. And study circles looked at equity among students, equity with teachers, how teachers viewed students. It was it was a really good program. It was quite eye-opening for a lot of people because it would be groups of teachers, students, administrators, even staff who would get together in these smaller study circles, and they would talk about issues of race, of ethnicity, of discrimination. These were things that it was very open, and we got it all out on the table. It wasn't comfortable. Most people were pretty uncomfortable with it, but in the end, it produced such a good result in how people viewed children. Why do you look at this one child, and if they're disruptive, you just go over and talk to them quietly and get them to calm down? This other child over here who happens to be African American, you yell at or send them out of the room. Why is that? I mean, those are the sorts of issues that I would deal with in schools. And I feel like that's why we need more counselors to be in schools. And we need to have educated counselors who are able to be empathetic and who can see the bigger picture. That's my big thing, is seeing the bigger picture and being equal in how you deal with children.
Absolutely. Thank you both. What I do want to say as an advocate, and this is exactly why I believe that my lane is advocacy, right? I talk to a host of teachers, I talk to counselors, talk to community parents, students. I mean, I'm all over, right? So I just got to be transparent because we're being candid, and this is a much crucial needed conversation. So Voncia, you're right. We have one counselor, 500 something students, right? You have that one counselor that's doing their level best to serve every student that they possibly can serve. However, I will say this, I've heard from counselors where they have had complaints where they were doing group sessions, as Ms. Susan said, they were hosting groups, and you had teachers that actually swerved in the counselor lane, and they had something to say in terms of them being able to facilitate that group, or just them being able to give their input. So I really do believe that a crucial part of us being able to come together to engage community, to see our children successful, is really understanding what your lane is and knowing how to stay in that lane, right? So I know that I'm a much better advocate. I know that I don't have to be an expertise, or I don't have to have the expert knowledge at every subject area. However, when I really understand the power of networking and who's in my network, I don't need to know it all. I don't need to know anything about IT. Maybe the basics, but if there's a conversation about IT, I can call on Ms. Voncia to say, hey, I don't understand this platform. Could you help me to navigate it? If there's a conversation about counseling and or behavioral health, because Ms. Susan, you have that experience, I may know some of it, but I don't need to be an expert. So I don't have to swerve in that lane, because I really know that we have all of these stakeholders around the table who has their own expert knowledge. And when we really look and stay in our own lanes to know, listen, I'm a counselor, you're a teacher. I'm going to let you do your job as a counselor. I'm going to stay over here as a teacher. This is an issue. This is why, and I just being honest, I have 4 children, all who attend Dorchester County Public Schools. The one thing that really frustrates me, and I have attended several board meetings, is seeing the division in our leadership. Why? I have 4 children. I'm married. I'm a wife. And the one thing that I know to be a fact is when me and my husband are off kilter, our children can sense that. So it's almost like a manipulation or a play in who they go to based upon what they feel. So with that being said, how do we, as a community, as an elected official, what would be your efforts to build or engage community in this process? Knowing your lane as a board member, and a lot of times I have to remind people, elected officials are elected to serve you as the people. Sometimes that's forgotten about. People get elected, they tend to forget. And if I be transparent, this is Candid Crucial Community Conversations. I have reached out to all 5 current board members, and I've only by email received a response for 1, and that's Miss Laura Layton. And I'm just being transparent. As an elected official, accessibility is important. If I am electing you, if I am, casting that vote, if I'm walking through that voting process with you, and I'm, Miss Voncia, Miss Susan, Mike Diaz, I'm pro you. I need to know that when I call you, you're available. Even if you can't do anything, recognizing that you are available means a lot to community. So how are you ladies going to be intentional about building the bridge in order to engage community, even in the process of, being involved in school policy and school board issues? So I guess we'll start with Ms. Voncia.
Thank you. So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I also am a mom. I've got 4 children, 3 of whom have graduated from Dorchester County Public Schools, and then I have 1 that's left at the high school. And accessibility is very important. I was so happy when more teachers started conversing via email, because that really helps me. When it comes to contacting me, the best way is through email. You can also contact me through my website, voteforvoncia.com, and I will reply. I'm not going to say I will reply right away, but I will reply as soon as I can. And I think that's fair, because I understand I have a lot of folks to support at work, and then I have my children to support, and then I definitely want to support this community. So one thing about me, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not a politician. I'm not even in this at all for any reason other than to help students be successful. So I may make some mistakes that a seasoned politician wouldn't make, and I'm okay with that, and I hope you're okay with that as well, because just know that my heart is for doing whatever is best to help all of our students succeed. And I underline all because I just really believe there's so much potential in our kids, and I think we can go so much further and be so much better than we are and than we have been if we all work together. So I'm professional enough to be honest with you. I can handle the hard conversation. And if you contact me, I'll respond to you. It's absolutely important to be accessible, and I understand that.
All right, Miss Susan.
One of the things I talked about when I first started looking at running was being able to be accessible to people in my community. I want to be able to go out to the schools. I want to be able to see how the kids are doing, see how the teachers are doing, get feedback. I mean, it would be nice to be able to be there in the mornings or maybe in the afternoons to say hello to the parents as they drive away, and to maybe have some community talks, chats, whatever. You know, if something's going on or if there's a program that's going to be discussed, I want to know how they think about it, what they think about it. I am accessible. I have a Susan Morgan for School Board Member on Facebook. I also have a new website, not as nice as Miss Molock's, but it's susanforschoolboard.net. That's my website. So I'm reachable via Facebook, or you can go on the website and check it out. You can always send me a message on Facebook if you have a question, but I want to be reachable. I want to be transparent. I don't want to be somebody who goes to a school board room and sits there one time a month and that's all I get. That's not me. I want to be out there talking with the community. So.
I just want to make sure we have voteforvoncia.com. Is that the number 4 or the word 4?
It is the number 4. So vote the number 4, Voncia.com. Thank you for clearing that up.
Susan, the number 4 or the word 4?
No, I am. The website is susanforschoolboard.net. And on Facebook, it's Susan Morgan for School Board Member.
Okay, I just want to put that in the comments for those that would like to reach out to you both. I believe, again, transparency is key to anything that we do. And I have to be honest, there's a lot of questions that community has been asking, from the fear of the online learning to really understanding what the homeschooling process is looking like, what private school sectors are doing. We're actually going to be hosting conversations in the upcoming Mondays, where we will actually have a session on homeschooling. We'll have a session on private schooling. So my question to you ladies what would be your concern about parents transitioning from public school to any of these other platforms, whether it's homeschooling or whether it's private school? What is your feedback as it relates to that? We'll start with Miss Susan.
I always feel that parents need to be doing what is best for their child. If they feel that it's best for their child to homeschool, that's what they need to do. If they feel that it's best for their child to put them into a private school for whatever reason, that's what they need to do. But I think they need to weigh it all. I mean, I'm a product of public schools. My children have all been products of public schools. I put a lot of stock in public schools. I think there's a lot more available for children in public schools. For example, here in Dorchester County, there's a wonderful technical school, DCTC, that's available to kids in Dorchester County. And it's a school that is underutilized. If you go in there, you'll see that the classes are extremely small, not because they're supposed to be small, but because there isn't that interest. And I think the problem there is that students and parents need to be educated about what is available with a technical school, how it can help children who can graduate from high school. Everybody doesn't want to go to college. I mean, maybe you want to go to a technical college after high school, but you don't want to go to a 4-year college. Everybody doesn't do that. Everybody doesn't fit in that way. There have to be options. And I think DCTC is a good option for kids in Dorchester, but I don't think it's used the way it should be. I think kids need to know about it early on so they can plan for it, so they'll know what they need to take or what's available or what it will do for them. So those are the sorts of things.
Thank you so much, Ms. Susan. Ms. Voncia.
Susan, I absolutely agree with you about DCTC. One of the programs, so I went to go visit as well, and one of the programs they have is Cisco Networking Academy, and oh, that's networking, it's IT, it's near and dear to my heart. And I would just give you a quick example. So I was working with a young man, we were putting in a new system, and it happened to be a Cisco system. And I said, "You're really great. You're a great engineer. What college did you go to?" He said, "Ma'am, I didn't go to college." He said, "I built a lab in my basement and I took all these online Cisco courses. I passed all the certifications and I was given a phone call and a 6-figure job at the age of 22. No college." And we have Cisco Networking Academy support at DCTC. I don't know how full that class is, but if more kids understood what that possibility would be for them, that the jobs that they could get with the initial certificates with Cisco Networking Academy, I think it would be a lot more full than it is. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And so again, we have to work with the students, we have to work with parents, we have to work with administrators. We have to come together to find whatever path of success our kids want to take. And you're right, it's not always going to college. I went to a technical school. It was not a traditional 4-year college for my undergrad. I went to DeVry Institute in Columbus, Ohio. I ended up going to Purdue for my master's degree in Indianapolis, well, in Indiana. And so my path wasn't really traditional either, I would say. But we have great classes. We have teachers with heart. We have students who want to do a lot of things in this county. And I just want to see this county soar. I want to see every student soar. I want to see every teacher be satisfied with what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I know that together we can get there. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that we can get there. I came through this county. A lot of great kids are coming through this county, and there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that together we can get there. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, I appreciate you both. The feedback. I want to say that we have Miss Holmes joining us. She said, "Great job, ladies." So a couple of things before we wrap up this hour session. She says, Ms. Holmes says, I am active in the business and grassroots sector of the community. I know that it is virtually important to improve the county's ranking of our public educational system. So then she posed this question: how do we help the Dorchester school system become more attractive to those looking to move here? So I guess we will go with this question and we will wrap up. So I guess we'll start with Ms. Voncia. How do you believe, how do we help Dorchester school system become more attractive to those looking to move here?
We have to address our issues, and we have to address the achievement gap. We have to do better on standardized testing. I know for a fact that there have been people that we have spoken to for various reasons that said they would not come to Dorchester County because of where our school rankings are. It's vitally important for people coming into the county to come to be confident that the school that they're going to send their child to is going to address their needs and help their child be successful. And so we have to do that. We have to just take a hard look at where we are, face reality. We know what our problems are, and we got to get busy getting them fixed. And when we do that, we'll be more attractive to other people coming into our county.
Ms. Susan, anything you might want to add?
I think there's a lot of people in Dorchester County who have a lot of experience, a lot of education, who would really like to work with the school system. And I think that they've had a very difficult time getting in, working and volunteering. I mean, we have a great volunteer coordinator in DCPS who Valerie Goff, who will work with you as far as putting you into a situation where you could help. But most of the time, it's going to be something like reading or listening to kids reading. We have people who could come in like Adrian, who was just on, who could offer a lot of options for kids. There are some programs through grants that are available to help kids get out and discover things about our community, our nation, that would make them more interested in being involved. And I think when you get kids interested and get them involved in the community, they're going to be better educated human beings, and they're going to be more interested in being educated and finding out about things.
So I appreciate the perspective from you both. I agree equally that we definitely need to address the gaps. We definitely need to face the harsh reality. The reality is, prior to COVID-19, our students were way behind the curve, right? If we just be realistic, students were way, and they are way behind the curve. Online learning definitely gives us the flexibility to meet some of the individual needs of our students, as well as, I do believe, as I said, I'm a very simplistic person. I believe when we look at our online learning forum, and when we consider our teachers, when we consider administration, when we consider all of the various components, working components to this equation, looking at the fact that we have online learning, which gives us some flexibility, also gives way for flexibility to our teachers. Now, this is just Shay speaking, right? So, of course, you know, I'm the host, Shay Speaks. So let me just say this. I believe if we gave teachers the opportunity to pick or choose the morning shift or the evening shift, it would help not only parents, working parents, but it would also help teachers who have children that are also going through the education system. What I mean by that, you have some teachers that prefer to work early morning. So allowing those teachers to work early morning, and then having those other teachers that wanted to work an evening shift until 7 p.m., which then gives time for working parents. I mean, it just makes sense to me, but who knows? So just giving time for working parents to be able to engage in the process of their child's education. So then it goes back to Dorchester County's mission statement, right? Dorchester County's mission statement is, of course, our teachers, in conjunction with community, parents, and stakeholders, we will come together to ensure our students are college and career ready. I said in last Monday, just giving some updates for Candid Crucial Community Conversations. Many parents want their children to go back to the actual school building. At the end of the day, teachers are not daycare providers. Community may not like me saying that. However, teachers are not daycare providers. So when we really look at the conjunction of what we have, the flexibility that we have from online learning, it gives teachers the opportunity to engage in their own child's education, as well as to do their job as a teacher. However, again, who am I? I'm just Shay Speaks. That's just what I believe would be very simplistic. It doesn't overwork teachers. It also gives them the opportunity to engage in their own child's learning process. Even though they're a teacher, they still should be able to take off the teacher hat and put on the mom hat and not have to compromise one or the other. Or am I going to lose my job because I can't work the standard 8 to 4 and still be able to ensure that my child is also getting the needs met that they need from their teachers? again, that's just my spiel. So Debbie Clayton says, Sussex Tech High School in Laurel/Seaford, Delaware has a phenomenal tech school. She would love to see if we could model this type of tech education. So I thank you all for your feedback. I'm actually going to come back to, I said a whole lot there, right? I'm very passionate about our community. I'm very passionate about our youth. And I'm just being honest. That's just me. I think very simplistic. And for me, simplistic is maybe may not be so simplistic. And that's exactly why we need to understand that there's a lot of individuals, a lot of working components that have their own expertise to say, Shay, that sounds very simple, but I need Miss what's my girl from the teachers union? I can't think of her name right now. It's escaping me. But I need her to tell me, wait a minute, Shay. Well, the contract for the teachers say X, Y, and Z. So then I would go back to Katie Holbrook. Thank you. There it goes. As soon as you said it, I remember. So Katie Holbrook, I need Katie Holbrook to bring me back around and say, wait a minute, Shay. Well, the teacher's contract says this. And then I'm like, okay, well, that sounds simple, but hey, that's not going to work. So again, when we really are able to have the candid, crucial conversations that we need to have, then we can see, okay, well, this sounds simple, it sounds workable, but also is this really legal? So at this time, I'm going to, Ms. Tara says, great conversation this evening. Thank you all. Ms. Debbie says, great suggestion, Shay. Listen, I don't get paid the big bucks. I'm not the brains behind the operation. We appreciate you all for tuning in with us. I want to give it back to Miss Susan and Miss Voncia to give their closing remarks, to let you all know exactly how you can contact them, how you can support their campaigns, because again, we know with COVID-19 and us being able to having to practice the social distance, we still want to see you all successful in your run for school board. So Miss Susan, for you to start.
I would like to see a change in our school board, in our focus. I think we have a new superintendent who's eager to make changes, who has a lot of good ideas. I would like to work with him in doing that. If you want to get in touch with me, once again, Susan Morgan for school board member on Facebook. I'm easy to reach there. You can go on susanforschoolboard.net to get my ideas and my vision statements. I would appreciate hearing from anyone. I'm always asking questions on there, asking for feedback. So please feel free to give me feedback.
Thank you, Miss Susan. You, Miss Voncia.
Thank you. And looking at the comments that came up about Sussex Tech, it just reminded me that one thing I want to be clear about. One, I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If there is a better way to do something, I am all open for it. Let's find out what it is, and let's find out if it can work for our problem. I'm also very results oriented. So while I like a lot of ideas, I'm extremely flexible. Going in, I want to know what are the expected results so that we all agree on what we think it is that we're going to accomplish. And then we hold people accountable for accomplishing what it is that they said they were going to do. So that is very much a large part of who I am. I would appreciate any support for my campaign. You can reach me at vonciamolock@gmail.com. That's an email address. You see my website, www.vote4voncia.com as well. So feel free to contact me by any method, and I'll be happy to discuss anything that you want to discuss, or any ideas, any wonderful ideas that would be helpful for our county, helpful for our students. I'm all in, ears wide open, ready to listen.
So again, I want to say to you both, thank you so much for accepting the invitation to come on. I would love to bring you back just to see how the support is going. I would also like to extend the invitation for those individuals that you are running against to also share in conversation. I know, Susan, your opponent is Mr. Phil Rice. And Miss Voncia, your opponent is Miss Laura Layton, who has name recognition. Both of them have name recognition. They've been serving on the board. So just to have that collaborative discussion so that the viewers can see, you know, this is what's been done, and this is how you all will take the torch and continue to run with it. I do want to say back to one of the things that Miss Susan said in terms of Miss Holmes. She is very community driven. She's grassroots. She has a business. And I got to be honest, if we really look at Miss Voncia, you had put on the conference in January. When we look at our students and we consider practical experience, so being able to engage some of the local businesses for our students to participate in volunteer activities, to give them that practical experience, helps them to see, I'm passionate about this. Then it, as you said, Miss Susan, makes them eager to participate even more in their education, in the education process, and actually learning. Learning becomes fun again. So Miss Lynette Wongus, who's also a community advocate, says, let's make change, ladies. Great job, Shay. So for each of you that have joined us tonight, I want to say personally, as your host, I appreciate you for joining us tonight. Please, please, please reach out to these ladies, ask your questions, support them in whatever way you can. This broadcast was not intended to say, listen, don't be even concerned with anyone else that's running, but it was merely to educate you on these amazing candidates who are also running. So I'm not saying to vote for this one or this one. However, you've heard their case tonight. You've heard what they are looking to do and the change that they want to bring, as well as I appreciate Ms. Voncia for saying, I'm not going to be perfect. Miss Susan and Miss Voncia, you both agree you're not politicians. You're just in this run, in this race to see change happen, to see purpose in our policy to work, not just for the school system, but for the community. So again, this is Candid Crucial Community Conversations. We are live every single Monday at 7:30. Miss Holmes, I want to be reaching out to you. Any of our parents, any community members, any person that has some type of background that wants to share on this platform, please reach out to me. I can be reached here on Facebook, YouTube, or by email at shayspeaks1 at gmail.com. And I ask that Miss Susan and Miss Voncia that you would go back as well and put in the comments your email, contact, as well as tag your campaign pages that's on Facebook, and put any other information that you want the viewers to get in this feed. So again, to you both, I'm going to say thank you, and I am looking to schedule to bring you all back maybe within the month, because again, we can't have too many of these discussions. In my personal opinion, it's not enough of these discussions. So I want to say to you both, thank you for being accessible. Thank you for agreeing to come on this platform to share your insight, your expertise, as well as to share in this conversation. To each and every one of you viewing, watching, sharing, those that will come and catch the replay, thank you, thank you, thank you. We would not continue to show up if you were not gaining education, you were not gaining expertise from these experts in order to make an informed decision as it relates to voting, as well as to continuously be intentional about involving yourself in building and engaging our community. So until next Monday night, guys, take care of yourselves and each other.
Thank you very much for having me.